with spit. Oomsy spit. Oomsy spit. Man, she's got some long arms. With pit smell. With pit smell. With spit. Come on, you slant-eyed slut from China. You better let me do this fucking... Come on, you slant-eyed slut. I ain't taking this shit. Man, god damn, I fucked up. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Come on, you whore. Now fuck up and bring this goddamn pole down here so I can hear your rook. Suck my dick, bitch. Bitch, you stupid! You stupid motherfucker. Son of a bitch. Come on, you son of a bitch. Move! Move, you whore. Move, you fucking whore. Move, you fucking street whore. Move, you fucking street whore. Oh, are you butthurt? That outsmart the fuck out of you, you son of a bitch. Suck my dick, bitch. Suck my motherfucking dick. Suck my dick, bitch. I'm fucking you up. Come on, dick sucker. Come on, you motherfucking dick sucker. Come on, fucking dick sucker. Come on, you fucking dick sucker.
Often, it builds communities, it feeds people, it gives structure to lives that were coming apart. I've heard tons of testimonies like that.
Dick sucker.
Question 2 is Christianity comforting? Obviously, it promises that death is not the end of history, the story. There's everything's going somewhere on purpose. And question 3 is Christianity true? That's an entirely different question, right? A religion can be useful and false. It can be comforting and false. Every religion on earth comforts somebody, and they contradict each other, so comfort can't be the test. So the only question that decides my return is whether the central claims correspond to reality. I just shit in my goddamn pants. Did the God of Israel reveal himself? Was Jesus bodily raised from the dead?
I just shit in my goddamn
Usefulness can't answer that.
I just shit in my
Comfort cannot answer that. There's just no way. Only evidence would be able to do such a thing. Now, let me clear the table. This is important. Here are some things that might shake me to the floor and still not answer the question. Let's think of a few. Fear of hell, which I don't have anymore, but that would not bring me back even if I did have a fear of hell. Fear is a motive, not an argument. Every religion with a hell can play the same card, and I've read several different religions, even Buddhisms that have it. But like missing my old community would not bring me back. And I do miss it. I miss the singing. I miss the meals we spent together. People who showed up when your car broke down. You could just give a call if you need help. That was real. It's not evidence. A powerful worship experience would not do it. And not because I think those experiences are fake. They're real. I've had them. I know how profound they are. They're real. The problem is that an experience doesn't arrive with its cause printed on it, so you know, oh, for sure, that's that God. A Muslim feels the same way in Salah. A Mormon feels the burning in the bosom. A Hindu feels the presence of the divine at the temple. Same certainty, incompatible religions. This is just how it is. So the feeling by itself can't tell you which explanation is true, or whether the real explanation is psychological and cultural. You know, it doesn't help. A dream about Jesus would not do it. An answered prayer would not do it. Because I would have to ignore every unanswered one to count it. And an event I can't explain would not do it either. Because unexplained is not the same as uniquely Christian. The gap between I don't know what that was and therefore Jesus is Lord is the gap every religion in history has set up. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over.
Now, fuck up the other side. Not right here. So I can get two for the price of fucking one.
4 words: public, specific, independent, discriminating. Public, something other people could witness and investigate, not a private feeling in my chest at 2 a.m. Specific, detailed enough that it doesn't fit every explanation equally. Information given to me that I could not possibly possess. Verified after the fact, a medically documented healing predicted in advance, tied to Jesus by name. Independent, not resting on one person's interpretation. Revelations converging across cultures so that a farmer in Japan and a grandmother in Peru who never met a missionary report the same Christ. And by the way, the difficulty in these testimonies are a lot of them have been after the fact manufactured, fabricated, as if they've never heard of Jesus at all. Hard to believe, but, you know, again, how could you show and prove that is difficult. And then the 4th is discriminating.
Come on,
evidence that favors Christianity over Islam, over Mormonism, over psychology, coincidence, and natural processes we haven't mapped yet. Because a voice saying, I am Jesus, take Paul's revelation, for example, proves I heard a voice. It does not prove the source. And I'm not asking for mathematical certainty. I'm asking Christianity to explain the evidence better than its competitors do. That's the whole standard. And it's the same one every Christian watching already applies to Krishna. Which brings me to the biggest obstacle Christianity would have to explain first. Not evolution, not the age of the earth. Hiddenness. The Christian claim is that a God exists who knows every human mind perfectly and wants a relationship with each one. That God would know right now what evidence would convince me without breaking me. And I'm not asking God to write his name across the sky, right? The philosopher J.L. Schellenberg put his finger on the real problem, and it has a name: non-resistant non-belief. There are people who are sincerely open to God. They seek, they pray into the silence. They would welcome the relationship, and they stay unconvinced. Not because they're rebelling, because the evidence never arrived. They just are convinced. A perfectly loving God could give a sincere seeker the minimum awareness that a relationship is available. Awareness makes relationship possible. It does not make love compulsory. The standard reply is that clear evidence would destroy free will. That's what we always hear. And the Bible itself doesn't buy that. Israel watches the sea split and builds a golden calf within weeks. In Christian theology, Satan knows God exists and rebels anyway. Knowledge and allegiance are 2 different things. So the question is not whether rebels can reject a God they know. It is whether a sincere seeker can end up where I am through no resistance of their own. If the answer is yes, somebody has to explain how a hidden God gets to hold that against them. And underneath all this sits something that almost never gets said out loud. Belief is not a decision. Try it. For the next 60 seconds, believe that Australia does not exist. You cannot do it, because your mind will not sign off on a claim while the evidence points the other way. I can choose what I investigate. I read the apologists, like I've read a ton of their stuff. What I cannot do is reach into my own head and flip the switch marked convinced. Oh, I believe it now. Now, connect that to salvation. If my eternal destiny depends on believing the right proposition, then God is grading me on a conclusion I cannot simply choose. That makes the clarity of the evidence a moral issue. A judge who hides the exhibit does not get to sentence the jury. And the next obstacle. Christians tell me the Holy Spirit guides believers into truth. Then I look at the believers, sincere, praying, Bible-reading Christians who disagree about salvation, baptism, hell, the Trinity, sexuality, and which church is even the true one. And disagreement alone doesn't make Christianity false, of course, but fallible people can misread something true. The deeper problem is the method. Prayerful reading, inner testimony, a feeling of peace. That is the method I'm told to trust, and it keeps reproducing incompatible certainty.
God damn it.
Before that method can establish anything, somebody needs a non-circular way to tell the Holy Spirit apart from the sincere human error. I've never been shown a single one.
I was 17 and I knew that she would never speak to me.
Geography. We've heard this before, but it's true. If I was born in Saudi Arabia, you almost certainly hear of Allah, okay? Born in Salt Lake City, the Holy Ghost testifies of Joseph Smith. Born in Tennessee, you meet Jesus. The revelation people receive matches the region of their zip codes. That is the pattern culture predicts. It is not the pattern one God speaking predicts. And if eternal destinies hang on picking correctly, salvation starts to look less like a judgment and more like a raffle. Another problem, if you will. If my eternal fate depends on believing Jesus rose from the dead, why does the evidence live inside disputed ancient documents? The Gospels were written decades after the events in Greek by authors who never signed their names. The resurrection accounts differ on who came to the tomb and what they saw and where Jesus appeared. And our earliest author complicates the picture further. In Galatians, Paul plants his gospel in revelation, not in human instruction. In 1 Corinthians, he passes along resurrection traditions he said he received. So the earliest record we have is inherited claims braided together with visionary experience. What it is not is direct access to a tomb or to whatever started the tradition. And none of that means ancient testimony counts for nothing. It counts. Historians work with worse. But there's a difference between evidence and sufficient evidence. This is the largest supernatural claim in the religion. The hinge everything swings on, and it's carried by text we cannot fully date, cannot securely attribute, and cannot cross-examine. It's a big, big jump. I know most Christians don't believe God dictated the Bible, and that's fine. But on Christian stories alone, God still chose ambiguous ancient testimony as the delivery system for the one fact my soul depends on. That is the choice I would need explained. And suppose it all worked. Suppose tomorrow we establish to a historian's satisfaction that Jesus was seen alive after his execution. What would that prove? Not the Trinity, not biblical inerrancy, not substitutionary atonement or eternal hell. It would not even establish the cause without further argument. A strange event and God did it are two separate claims. And God did it, and the whole Christian system is true, are separated by half a dozen more. Apologetics sprints across those steps as if they're one, from unusual event to divine act, to divine Jesus, to true doctrine, to authoritative Bible. Every link in that chain needs its own case, establishing the first link. I mean, one could look at the swoon theory, immediately saying, well, he survived the resurrection. That's why he was seen after he was dead. And in fact, there are some who have proposed that. Rationalists have done so, and I've got a documentary coming soon. You want a documentary made? Reach out. I've been mentioning this, but if you're interested in funding a documentary and making something that you've had, a book, an idea to come to life, email me, mythvisionpodcast@gmail.com, okay? But let me answer 3 responses before the comment section writes them, okay? No evidence would ever convince you. I just spent several minutes listing evidence that would. I made this video so my worldview stays falsifiable. I'm not demanding certainty. I'm asking for evidence proportionate to the size of the claim. You just need faith. That's another response we probably hear. Faith meaning what? If faith means trust based on good evidence, then we're back to arguing about whether the evidence is good, which is this entire video. If faith means believing past the evidence, then Islam and Mormonism can demand the same thing, and faith cannot pick between them. Either way, faith is not a shortcut around the question. It is the question. My interpretation is faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. I know a lot of apologists who try to butcher Hebrews, in my opinion, and to make it not say that, but it is saying without evidence, they are trusting. The evidence is contrary. You know, Sarah is 99 or 98 or something. She's very old and she's getting pregnant. The evidence says opposite of the thing that's being promised, and they're still hoping. That to me is faith. You left because you love sin. That is an attack on my motives, and motives don't move evidence an inch. Suppose I left so I could sleep in on Sundays. The Gospels would still be anonymous, the certainties would still contradict each other, and the resurrection would still be the case. My character is not the question. The claims are. Now, the honest part. Because I promised this wouldn't be a lecture, and sometimes I do that. There are things I miss. I miss singing with a room full of people who all believe the same thing in the same moment. I miss the idea that history has an author, that my life was a sentence in a story going somewhere. I felt chosen and special. And I'll say the hardest one for most people to check, okay? I would love to see the people I've lost again. This, to me, is one of those, deeper. I think this is something that when you don't believe in this, it's a strong one. If I got to choose a universe, I might choose one with a reunion, okay? That those who die, that's not the end. You are going to reunite. You are going to be back together. The end isn't when you die, right? If I had to choose a universe. But again, I don't even think I'd allow death to be a thing at all. Like, why death? Unless this God is so unempathetic and not understanding what we're going through and the pain and all that comes on with it, and thinks, oh, it's nothing, it's insignificant, or doesn't care. If I had some say, I'd do it differently, but they would just say, his ways are above yours, he's smarter than you, and that's, I think it's just a rationalization for why things are the way they are. And things suck, right? But if I had to say, that's what I do. So wanting something to be true is the moment to check the evidence hardest, all right? Just because I want that doesn't mean, that's the case. Because want can be that crack where bad ideas can crawl through, all right? I could not go back for the music or the food, the meals, or the fear or the grief. A belief I chose for comfort would be a costume, and I would always know I was wearing it. So here's where I actually stand. Could I become a Christian again? Sure, yes. But belief is not something I can manufacture because I miss what it gave me. You just tried to disbelieve in Australia. I could be wrong about all of this, and I refuse to pretend otherwise, and if the Christian God exists, he understands my doubts better than I do. He knows my history. He knows what would convince me. He has my address. Until then, I follow the evidence where it goes. I'm going to do that, even when it walks me out of a building I loved. Now the question comes to you, and I want both camps in the comments. Christians, what evidence could convince you that Christianity is false? Skeptics, what could convince you that it's true? And if you catch yourself answering nothing, think hard about what that says. A conclusion no evidence could touch isn't a conclusion. It's a wall. There are evidences that could be convincing to me. I just think it's unrealistic. I don't see them happening. But damn, if I wouldn't change my mind if they did. I'll see you in the comments. Make sure you hit me up if you want a documentary made. All right, mythvisionpodcast@gmail.com. If you're interested in funding a documentary, they are affordable. Our polished videos you'll see. Email me out. Make sure you hit me up. But what would convince you or unconvince you? I'm curious. Thanks. And never forget, we are Myth Vision.
I do. Do. I do.
There's a cute woman's head. A cute woman's head to the music. Let me touch it.
I do. I do. I do.
There's a cute woman's head.
God fucking damn it. I do. I do. Don't even think about it, slut. Slut. Don't even think about it, slut. Don't even think about it, slut. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Come on, you snot-eyed fucking slut. God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. What a dumbass. Stupid! You absent-minded bitch. God damn it. God fucking damn it, son of a bitch. Dumbass. I fucked this. Ho! Spit the oozy, oozy, oozy. Spit the oozy, oozy, oozy. Spit the oozy, oozy, oozy. I do. Dumbass. Stupid, 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 stupid. He's fixing to take a ride in the stupid machine. Dumbass. 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 Come on, you slant-eyed slut. The motherfucking shit. I gotta protect that fucking bone. Come on, slut. Come on, you slut. Come on, you fucking slut. Come on, you slut. Oh, hi. Oh, hell no. Dumbass fucker. Come on, you bitch. Mrs. Bitch ass fucker. God damn it. Yeah, fucking. Now fuck up and move that whore right here so I can fuck the fuck out of you, son of a bitch. Bitch. Oh, I could have. When you finish it, we'll play with you. Now fuck up and move that whore right here. Or here. Oh. So I can fuck your fucking lunch. God damn it. God fucking damn it. God damn it. God fucking damn it. God bucket. with oozy spit. I do. Stupid! You absent-minded bitch. I was almost thinking that to me because I almost totally missed that shit. Dumbass. Dumbass. Just dumb. You dumb fuck. I better get that damn pawn to safety. Dumbass. You never swap a queen for a rook. That's just pure stupid as shit. She's cute.
Great topic, isn't it? It came out yesterday afternoon, and Ian was the one who informed us.
But to make a girl
federal counselor for the Bar Association and part of the Alliance team, which consists of our most...
Welcome back to Myth Vision Podcast. I'm Derek Lambert. I'm your host, and I am honored to introduce the guest, M. David Litwa. Dr. M. David Litwa is joining us again. Dr. Litwa, there's so much I can brag about that we have done in the past, in the work that you're doing, cutting edge material. Today you're bringing us even more cutting edge observations and helping our audience to get as close to the earliest stuff we can get, which is what we like. Thank you for joining us again and giving us your time.
Definitely. Hello, everybody. Yep, good to be back. Thank you, Derek, for having me on. It's great to be here. I hope everyone is well.
Absolutely. I hope everybody's doing well. Like the video. Listen, all the links will be in the description for this episode. 2 books. We're going to be talking about 2 books, but there's going to be some interesting ideas. I'm a fly on the wall, just like you. I hope that you'll take that philosophy and listen. Let's hear what an expert has to say on stuff pertaining to the Gospels, pertaining to the New Testament, canon. I mean, if I may, Dr. Lilwa, and then I'm going to honestly zip it and hear what you have to say. There was a recent video that Bart Ehrman did where he was correcting, adjusting, reacting to Wes Huff, which is a popular apologist in the Christian world. And they're talking about canon formation. Wes tries to push, they already had the right, they knew what books it was way early. He's a Protestant too, so you kind of have to understand where he's coming from in order to see why he's doing the overtime work he's doing to try and make the canon so early. And Bart said the debate was going on for centuries, and the first time you get a full list of the New Testament is Athanasius or something in 367. He's like, way later. Anywho, I know that you've been working on somebody important named Marcion, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So thank you again for your time. I'm going to just hear what you're presenting. Take us on a journey.
I may as well resign right here.
But he didn't blow the house down. So yeah, you can huff and huff and huff and huff, but yeah, you gotta also just face the data.
Absent-minded bitch.
And that's what we want to look at. Definitely, we want to be very careful. Bart may not be aware of it, but there's a great scholar everyone should know.
Both his
she's called Claire Rothschild, and in I believe it was 2021 or 2022. Anyway, not too long ago, she wrote a whole book on the Mediocrity canon, which is pretty important for this
one right out of the other. I dicked up both of his
She argued, and I think she's right, that it's a 4th century forgery. Now, that means that you can't use it as data
stupid ass move
for anything in the 2nd century.
No, you're not.
So if she's right, and I think she is, then stupid. So even the most conservative kind of dating of the Mediocrity canon would be late 2nd century. The other thing to know about the Mediocrity canon is it's basically unreadable. If any of your guests or your viewers know Latin, you can go read the Mediocrity canon yourself, and you will discover it is mostly gibberish. It's just gibberish.
Now fuck up and take that night.
What scholars have done is they've fixed it. They've basically rewritten it so that it sounds like semi-coherent, but it's full of not just spelling errors, but just grammatical nonsense. And so this is important to understand, that it's a very, even if you put faith in this text, it's an extremely damaged text. And it is most likely a forgery. And so I encourage everyone to go look that up. I've got a review of that book on my website. It's just, it's called The Mediocrity Fragment. And again, that's by Claire Rothschild. I think it's important to understand also that, some books, some New Testament books weren't even written until the late 2nd century. Here, 2 Peter is a great example where it's never cited into the 3rd century. Same thing with 3 John. We recently have a really excellent book by Hugo Mendes on the Johannine epistles. 3 John appears to be 3rd century, maybe even a little bit later. It's a very late book. So these Catholic epistles are kind of the wild card. So you can't say that they knew what the canon was in the mid-2nd century, because It wasn't even all written yet. So you need to face that data. And yeah, that's important to know. Now, obviously, they had the core. They had the core, which would be your gospel and your letters of Paul. That's always been the core of the New Testament. And who is the first person who designed that core? Well, every Orthodox person follows a heretical core, because the very first person who came up with the idea of let's have a gospel and a Pauline letter collection and let's put them all together in one book, that was Marcion. And every Orthodox person today, Protestant, Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Armenian, Coptic, they follow the Marcionite order. That is the great invention.
Wow.
It's absolutely heretical, but every single New Testament follows that pattern. Gospel plus apostle. Now, they disagree on how many gospels there are, and they disagree on how many Pauline letters there are. But the structure of gospel plus apostle, that's Marcion's invention. No one got to it before he did. Why is this important also? Because if we want to talk about the origins of the New Testament, we've got to talk about Marcion, because he's the earliest attested New Testament. He comes up with the idea of the New Testament. Gospel plus apostle, one book. That's the New Testament. And that's his idea, and it's his vision for what Christians should be reading in church. Okay? Later, the early Catholics, they added a bunch of stuff. Obviously, they tacked on the Old Testament. But Marcion said that in terms of what we should be reading in church, we should be reading just two sets of literature, Gospel plus Apostle. And Marcion's New Testament, which we can reconstruct, is at least 60 years earlier than any attested manuscript. Okay, so our earliest manuscripts of the New Testament, apologists will disagree with me, but critical scholars say that we don't have anything prior to the very late 2nd century, and we know that Marcion published his New Testament. We even have a date. It's the 140s. Okay, so our earliest manuscripts start appearing around 200, maybe slightly before, most likely slightly later. Things like Papyrus 46, things like Papyrus 75. That's the earliest. And then, we have Marcion. Why is Marcion gold? Doesn't matter if you like Marcion. Mm-hmm. He's still gold, because you can be Wes Huff, you can be the most conservative person on earth. You can be the greatest apologist in the world. And you need Marcion. You should care about Marcion. Why? Because he's the first attested New Testament. The first attested New Testament, and he's 60 years ahead of any manuscript. Imagine if Wes Huff opened his email one day and he got a message saying, "We discovered a manuscript that is securely dated to 140. He would have a wet dream. I mean, he would absolutely have an orgasm. Yeah. And every apologist, would crawl out of their bunker, temporarily after waiting for the apocalypse, and they would start, blogging like crazy. We have a manuscript that goes back to the 140s. F all you usual Christians, hate you all, you scholars, go to hell, we got 140s manuscript, woohoo! Yeah. That's what they got. It's called Marcion's New Testament. Why don't they touch it? They're afraid, because they're afraid of what Marcion might have done to it. But here's the thing. What scholarship has shown us in the past 25 years is that Marcion
I was able to say by night
anything with it.
My motherfucking night.
He just inherited it and passed it on. So there was a pre-existing Pauline collection, and there was a pre-existing gospel. His only innovation was to smush them together to make a sandwich.
Come on, you slut.
That's it. In terms of the vision of Marcion being some crazy mad scientist editor, having gone to Alexandria and, gotten all that text critical education, no, that's all a bunch of hooey as far as I'm concerned. The guy is a shipowner. I was thinking about that word, hooey. Like yourself, he didn't get his PhD. I'm sure he was very smart. I'm sure he could read a letter, but the guy's not prepared to go revise the entire New Testament. I mean, he's just not academically prepared to do that. And he thinks that it's inspired, so he's not going to do it anyway, because he's not going to rewrite the Holy Ghost. So that would be stupid, So this whole vision of Marcion changing a bunch of stuff, all of that is just flat wrong. We got the story wrong. What Marcion is our first witness to the New Testament, and every single person ought to be paying attention to him. And this brings me to Marcion's Bible. So what I've done as a service to your community and to the world at large is to give us our very first copy of Marcion's Bible complete. Now, what I mean by that is that Marcion had created the first study Bible. And what I mean by a study Bible is a Bible with a significant introduction. And that introduction is called antitheses. Okay? Now, Jason Badun, in 2013, he published the Gospel and the Apostolos, but it has never been published as a threefold form, which it originally was, as a study Bible. So the Apostolos, the Gospel, the antitheses, the Gospel, and the Apostolos. So, in other words, Marcion's introduction to the study Bible, the one singular Gospel, and a set of Paul's letters. That's the complete edition of Marcion's Bible. It's never been published in the threefold form in a scholarly way. There are some Marcionite churches who have published kind of what I would consider very dubious kind of collections, and not based on good scholarship. So what I've done for your audience is to put all those three together and to give you Marcion's Bible that's published in the 140s. Okay? First time it's been done in a scholarly way. That's why I say it's a scholarly rendition, not anything that is gonna...
Come on, slut.
Yeah. I mean, scholars can question my translation choices and my reconstruction choices, and that's fine. But I recently updated this, and as a supplement, I've also done a commentary on Marcion's introduction. So again, Marcion's introduction is a book called The Antitheses, and I've reconstructed this, and I've given it a full commentary. So this is the part of Marcion's Bible that makes apologists cringe because they can't deal with it. It's like passing a kidney stone. They just either they ignore it or they're like, I'm not touching this thing.
Fucked up.
And I want everyone to understand the significance of this. This is the very first introduction to the Bible ever. The very first introduction to the New Testament ever. So, when you walk into a Christian bookstore today, you can get your, evangelical NIV study Bible, or maybe the women's study Bible, or the men's study Bible, or the gay study Bible, or the white male Republican study Bible. And, you can get any study Bible you want, and it's going to have a nice, fresh introduction written by some guy in a seminary, and it's going to be, evangelicals eat it up. I mean, it's the Bible. Who's the first person who came up with the idea of a study Bible? Who's the first person who wrote an introduction to the New Testament? Well, it isn't Augustine. It isn't, Athanasius, and it isn't Irenaeus. It's everybody's favorite heretic. It's good old Marcion. He came up with that idea. That's his great idea. Okay? So his claim to fame is he's given us the structure of the New Testament, Gospel plus Paul. But he's also given us, what every evangelical publisher loves to do. That is, hey, why don't we publish the Bible, publish the New Testament with an introduction? That would sell more books, right? And so we're going to rake in that money. Well, I don't know if Marcion made any money, but he's the first one who came up with that idea. I'm going to slap an introduction onto the New Testament. And basically what that introduction does is he says, you know what? When you read the Bible, when you read Jewish scripture, the God as a character in that narrative, he looks a lot different than the God of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ himself noticed this because Jesus Christ also had his own antitheses. And so if you've read the Sermon on the Mount, you'll see that Jesus says, well, you've heard that it was said, hate your enemy or, eye for eye. But I tell you something completely different. So this is the Jesus who also said, and you can go look this up, all of you fundamentalists and, apologists and, anti-apologists and friends of the show can go look this up. Luke chapter 16, verse 16, Jesus himself says, even in the canonical version, the law lasted until John. It's done. It's done.
Would you please move, you whore?
And there's some interesting differences with Marcion's text in the next verse, but Luke 16:16 is exactly what the Marcionite text said, that there was a law given to the Jews and it lasted until John the Baptist. So it's done. It's done. And in both the canonical text of Romans and in the Marcionite text of Romans, it says the end of the law is Christ. It's ended. And in Ephesians 2:15, both in the canonical text and in the Marcionite text, it says exactly the same thing. Christ destroyed the law by his teachings. How do we know that Christ destroyed the law? Well, Marcion said, well, listen, guys, I know you all live after the Holocaust, and, we have to be serious about the Jewish origins of the New Testament, and that's all fine and good. But the fact is, if you read the Gospels, Jesus is constantly twisting the noses of the Jewish leaders. He's going out of his way to break the Sabbath, to defend his disciples when they're, harvesting the grain on the Sabbath. He picks the Sabbath day to go into the synagogue and heal some poor woman who's bent over and to heal a man with a withered hand. And he yells at the Jewish leaders when they say, oh, no, you can't do that. He says, absolutely, I can do that. I'm master of the Sabbath. And so he does a number of other things against Jewish law. The woman with a hemorrhage, it's absolutely forbidden in Jewish law that a woman with a flow of blood can touch any person. It's absolutely defiling. She touches Jesus. Jesus doesn't get angry. He's not like, oh, you broke the law. Now you made me defiled and now I've got to go take a bath. No, he says, your faith has made you well. And the same thing with the leper. It's absolutely prohibited in the law that you can touch a leper because the leper is defiling. Go read it. It's in Leviticus. Cannot touch a leper. But what does Jesus do? Goes out of his way. Out of his way. He doesn't need to do it. Goes and touches the leper. And this is Luke chapter 5, or Gospel chapter 5, depending on what version you're reading. So there's a guy who knows exactly what the law says and is effing with it. I mean, for lack of a better term, messing with it.
Right.
And being a thorn in the side of all of the defenders of the law. And so how does this guy get killed? Well, it's basically the Jewish leaders can't take it anymore because this guy has broken the law so many times. And, they just go bonkers. And they want to get rid of him. And they end up killing him. Of course, that plan doesn't work. But that's it. So Marcion said that I'm okay with Jesus' Jewish heritage. I'm not denying that he's Jewish. I mean, let's be real. We don't do that. That's just stupid.
By the way, there are conspiracy theorists today that actually try to do that. It's silly. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going down that. We're not going down that road. But the idea, but what Marcion does say is that if we're going to be honest with the New Testament, we have to be very clear. Jesus is not there trying to fulfill Jewish law. Open your eyes. He is disagreeing with the Jewish law. And if he is disagreeing point by point with the Jewish law, that is the practice, the ritual, requirements and observances, then he's not there to fulfill the law, and he has therefore a problem with the giver of the law. So who's the giver of the law? Well, on one level, it's Moses, right? So that's the guy who, gets the job done and goes up to a mountain, and God knows what happened on the mountain, but he comes down and he's got a couple stone tablets, and he's like, okay, God gave me these. He breaks the first copy and then has to go all the way back up again, Anyway, long story short, who is the true giver of the law, though? Well, it would be God, basically, or the one who's called God, or we can call him Yahweh, we can call him the Lord, but he's got a particular character in Scripture. And Marcion said, well, let's just look at his character. Let's just see what he does. Because there's a saying of Jesus that says, a tree is known by the fruit, right? What does this mean? Meaning you can look at the deeds of somebody and know their character from their deeds. By the way, this is good dating advice. If any of your female listeners are on dating apps, Jesus is saying is the greatest advice for dating. You will, by their fruits you shall know them. You know the tree from the fruit, okay? So a guy doesn't love you if he just says he loves you, but then does a bunch of nasty things like getting drunk and flaring up in a rage and getting really jealous of you, and then threatening even to kill you if you do something bad. Well, it's kind of what you see in the Jewish scriptures, Marcion said, that he doesn't deny that God is merciful. Of course, Yahweh is merciful when you are good, when you're obedient. He's very merciful to Israel when Israel is doing what the law says. But God forbid that they step out of line consistently. It's a very transactional mercy. When they start stepping out of line, all of a sudden, huge rage comes up, huge jealousy, threats, stuff like you'd think like Yahweh has mental health issues. He's absolutely an abuser. Says that he's going to send in armies and kill the people and have the women be raped and the men slaughtered and even children killed, and is going to send them into exile, and these are the constant threats that they're under. So it's a covenant of mercy, but it's also the stipulations of the covenant also include a curse, and it all depends on your behavior. Mm-hmm. Now there's debates about, well, can we obey? Maybe we can't obey, maybe we can. So there's debates about that, but what you see in the scripture, the Hebrew Bible, is it's a character. He's in motion, and he's figuring himself out. But there's no doubt about it that he is belligerent and that he's just not a very nice person. He wouldn't be a guy you would want to marry. Between you and me. So Marcion says in his introduction, well, look at this character portrayal. The guy says, you cross me, I'm going to flood you. You cross me, I'm going to firebomb your city. You cross me, I'm going to send in an army. You cross me, you're done. You follow my rules and I'll give you a big hug. I'll tell you I love you, and we're just going to be hunky-dory. So it's not like pure evil, but it's just transactional, right? Like it's a very kind of conditional love. And what Marcion says is
a prenup marriage in a way. It's like a prenup marriage with abuse.
Yeah, I think no lady should sign a prenup with those kind of stipulations. Yeah, like if you follow my rule, if you follow my house rules, I'm going to give you a big hug, and we're going to be just great, and I'm going to bring in the bacon, and you're going to have a great life. But if you dare cross me, I'll tie you up, throw you in the basement, and do awful things. So it's very disturbing, and I'm not saying this in a way that I think it's important to recognize that Jews themselves, there are many, many books on this, when they read the Jewish scriptures themselves, they're kind of horrified. What Marcion is trying to do, he's a very Gentile reader. He doesn't have the Jewish upbringing, so he doesn't have the framework, and he doesn't read the Talmud. The Talmud hasn't been invented yet. He doesn't have the kind of apologetic framework which most people would have when they would read the Old Testament, basically. He doesn't feel any need to make it agree with the New Testament, because in his day they hadn't yet combined them yet, right? So in our day, we're so used to them being combined. It's like, well, you can't have a Bible unless you got the Old and the New Testament. But again, in Marcion's day, that just doesn't exist. In fact, they don't even have the technology yet, really, to make a book that big. So when you're just looking at, well, what does the ancient scriptures look like? It's not until the 4th century where they have a Bible which includes both Old and New Testament under one cover.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind. So that whole idea is just kind of foreign. And, so Marcion is not fighting an ideology which says that, well, we've always had the Old Testament. Why do you want to throw it away? No, Marcion is in an age where it's like, what should we be reading in church? Should it be gospel or prophets or law? And it's all a big debate. And, there's no bookstores with Bibles for sale telling you what's in the Bible, because they haven't gotten to invent that yet. And so Marcion, again, his big idea is to say, well, I just want to make it clear what I want to be read in church and what I think is good. I want the gospel of unconditional love.
Goddamn stalemate.
And I don't want a transactional manual with, a lot of fear built into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to have the gospel, and I'm going to have Paul's letters, and that's it. And Jesus represents unconditional love. God loves you regardless. God isn't, rooting for one team on earth, the Israel team. He's rooting for everybody. God is absolutely transcendent and loving and peaceful, and he doesn't get mad at you. And he's not, starting a fire in hell for you. So that message is what Marcion is trying to boil down in that introduction, the antitheses. And he's trying to say that built into the New Testament itself, Jesus is trying to awaken people and to say, you know what, I'm representing a different dude. I'm on a different team. You might not know it, but I'm going to slowly reveal this mystery to you by these very gradual criticisms of the law. And I'm going to show you that, my Father is something different. And so this was Marcion's great idea. We're not sure if it's original to him. But I think, again, the important thing that I want to emphasize for your listeners is Marcion's theology, whether or not you like it or not, is kind of irrelevant. So if you like Marcion's theology and you think it might be useful, or if any of you are apologists out there and you want to argue against it, go read the antitheses. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every generation, and find out what Marcion's theology is. But in terms of Marcion's Bible, that's something different. So Marcion doesn't go into his Bible and tries to change everything so that it agrees with the antitheses. What he does is he gives you an introduction and says, here's how I read it. This is my framework. And I want to convince you to read it the same way. I don't need to change anything that is in the text. All I need to do is just show you, I'm just going to line these things up. How does the God of Israel operate? How does the Father of Jesus Christ operate? And I'm just going to see if there's any continuity there. And he says, well, there might be some overlap, but it's not very consistent, and we see a fundamentally different character and ethos. What you could do if you are, of a particular disposition, if you're just interested in the earliest text of the Bible, you don't even need to bother with the antitheses. You can just read Marcion's text of the Gospel and of Paul, and because that's our earliest attested witness to the New Testament. And as I pointed out in a recent video on my own channel, that when we look at canonical Luke, there is a shorter form and a longer form. And time again, even in the manuscripts of canonical Luke, the earlier form is the shorter form. And time again, we see that shorter form, even attested in canonical manuscripts, agrees with what
Dumbass, you should have accepted.
So what does that mean exactly? It means that probably what happened is something like this. There was a